What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Best Bet show. It is Thursday Night Football, the Buccaneers versus the Falcons. I'm here with Austin's Props and Alex Caruso. Austin, how you feeling today, brother?
Dude, I'm excited. I think this game's going to be really good. I'm working on tweeting this out real quick, so bear with me. But other than that, I'm excited. I like both. I like the trajectory of where both these teams are, and I think it's pretty solid matchup coming at a pretty solid time. So I'm excited for this one. How about you guys?
I'm super excited tonight. I think we get a lot of, Thursday dud games as the season goes along. Like we get a lot of like Jets, Patriots, or, we get, really, really bad teams. But I think this is a really good matchup between two not amazing defenses and two really, really good offense. So I think we're going to get a show like 29-27 barn burner tonight.
I actually agree. I mean, it's both teams sitting atop the division. The Saints are there too, but 3-1, 2-2. It's a huge game. Both offenses, I've kind of liked what they're doing. Obviously, this Kirk Cousins-led offense is, in my opinion, way better than last year's offense run by Atlanta. You've seen Darnell Mooney step up, a lot of other guys. So, it should be good. We have a 1.5-point spread. I'm hoping there's no blowout. We've had a little bit of blowouts last week that kind of ruined the Sunday slate for me. So I'm hoping there's no blowouts. But the 1.5-point spread, it's got to be there. So we could basically talk money line here since that's what the spread is. And over under 43.5. I like the over 43.5. And I think I lean the Bucs as road dogs, but I don't know if it's enough to be a play. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Austin, we'll start with you.
I'm all over the Bucs personally. I think Bucs plus 120, road dog, perfect time to back them. Coming off a great game against the Eagles where they looked really sharp. I know the Eagles super banged up and everyone was clowning them, but you got to give the Bucs credit. Their offense was clicking. They looked really good. They bounced back after that Saints game where they didn't look the best offensively, and I think they can win this one today.
Yeah, I agree. I know Alex will be on the other side. So, Alex, who do you like tonight?
AC's going to have some stat about the Falcons here with the spread.
No, I actually like the Bucs today. I think the Bucs are a great play. I'm starting to turn into a Baker believer. I really like what the outside wide receivers can do. I think that Bijan's really banged up today. Like I think that there's a narrative that's going on that they've been saving him for the divisional game on Thursday, but he played a season low in snaps on Sunday. He's coming off 3 days rest and playing today. Like there's no way he's near 100%. And ultimately, I think that's what's going to decide this game is that he's not going to give them enough juice they need to be able to keep up. And I think the Bucs are going to squeak one out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think the Falcons are going to have to throw late to try to win this game, and they've been having some late game miracles here against the Eagles and then the Saints. Clock I think strikes midnight in that regard. The Saints kind of horrible coaching call there at the end. They went for it on 4th and 6 after losing a yard on a Kamara rush. Could have kicked the field goal to make it a 3-point game, then forced a 3-and-out. They were still down 6, scored a touchdown to go up 1, and then the Falcons scored a field goal. But if they just kicked the field goal instead of went for it and didn't get it, they would have had to score a touchdown to win. So,
and that happened back-to-back weeks.
Back-to-back weeks
too. They could have lost both those games outright.
Exactly.
They probably should have lost most of those games.
Clock strikes midnight for me. I'm going to go talk about one of my plays. I did buy into the Algier narrative because of the Bijan being banged up. I don't think he deserves more snaps if he doesn't get beat up. I played his rushing yards over 31.5. It's now like 34, 35.5. I think he gets 40 plus. He's averaging like 6 yards per carry, which is probably not sustainable, but he's done it through 4 games now. And his rushing attempts line is 8.5. So if you think he gets 9-10 carries, I think 40 yards is very doable. So I'm on Tyler Algier in that regard. Any Falcons props from you guys today?
For me, I played Bijan receptions. I know the injury bug's a potential there, but for me, I'm not as worried as most. I think 61% of snaps last week is a decent share for an RB1. And I got it at plus 112 last night. It's minus 150 actually at 3.5.
Wow.
So got good CLV there. I'm hoping that goes in my favor. But I like the Algier look. I think Bijan alone, like this is a tough run defense. They're probably going to want to use more of a power back. Especially
that's what I'm thinking. And they'll use the passing game too.
I kind of see them in a losing script. So that's why I liked the Bijan receptions. Kind of like you said, at the end of the game, they've had those heroics where they're having to pass from behind. So I kind of like the 3.5 receptions. I think also if they're not using him in the run game, they probably still use him the same for his pass catching ability. So
Agree.
that's kind of my read on it. That's why I went receptions, just because it felt a little less risky with the potential of him being banged up. Obviously, if he's playing, they're probably using him for the pass catching ability rather.
Austin absolutely cooked. I mean, I was looking at his splits just against zone because the Bucs run more zone than anyone, and Bijan's splits were great. But then I looked and saw that they run 45% cover 3, and Bijan Robinson is getting targeted on 33% of his routes against cover 3, which is all the Bucs are going to run, especially if they're in a winning game script. They're going to play back a little bit more, which favors Bijan on that again. We saw the same thing last week where Bijan had 9 carries, but he also had 4 targets and 46 receiving yards, another big receiving play that got called back. That was a touchdown with a holding penalty. So I really like that look, but I'm hammering Bijan under 61.5 rushing yards. They do not want him between the tackles. It has been 3 days. He had 9 carries last game. The Bucs just got Vita Vea back. I don't think it's going to be in the rushing game. I think that's going to be the Bijan spot. Sorry, the Tyler Algier spot. But I like that, play. I like both guys in receiving. I mean, look at the numbers of every running back to play the Bucs this year. Yeah. Receiving running backs have gone crazy because they run cover 3, which forces the ball to running backs no matter what.
Well, we saw last week, Saquon had a 50-yard bomb that he was missed on that would have inflated those numbers even more. So I love that. I think that's super well said. And I think kind of all our spots are kind of correlated at least today for this game.
Everything's hitting or everything's missing.
We're all kind of
there's no in between
here.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs are allowing the most receptions, targets, and receiving yards to running backs this year. So, I mean, the numbers are so low, not for Bijan, but for Algier as well, that if he has a 1.5 receptions line that's juiced. If he doesn't get his yards in 2 catches, his yards like what, 7.5 or 6.5? I forget what the line was for Algier's receiving yards. I think it's going to be short dump offs the entire game. They're going to stack the box. They're also going to pressure the quarterback and try to stop the run. And that's just going to be, I think the long ball is going to struggle. But what scares me is that I think Darnell Mooney's taken such a big step. I wanted to play his longest reception just because if he does get a one-on-one out there, or he's just been so good at the deep ball that it was tempting, but I ended up not pulling the trigger, but I'm probably going to regret it.
Kirk Cousins has kind of made relevant wide receiver 2s throughout his career. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's always kind of Adam Thielen for a few years. Jordan Addison, obviously, rookie year. Like, he's always done well with making wide receiver 2s relevant. So
I agree.
I like Mooney. I think he's in a good spot today, or a decent line.
As far as Bucs props go, I'm on kicker field goals in the spot. If I think you're going to win the game on Thursday, and I'm going to take the kicker's field goals on a short week, and I think you're going to win. That's honestly my whole thought process there. Alex can go ahead. I know Alex probably played it too.
It's my play of the day. They've given up the Atlanta's given up the single most kicker points to kickers so far this year. 3 out of 4 kickers have gone over. 2 out of those 3 had at least 3 field goals. But the one team that missed last week was the Saints. And I went back and looked through their game. They had 3 different times inside Atlanta's 40-yard line that they didn't kick on 4th down. I mean, they had a 4th and 7 they didn't kick. They had one on the 40-yard line they didn't kick. And then they had a 4th and 2 on the 28-yard line they didn't kick. I mean, they had like 3 other opportunities, and then the Falcons would have let every kicker over this year. The red zone defense is definitely tightened up. That's my play of the day, especially if they've given up more kicker points than any team in the NFL this year.
I agree. And I had the Blake Groupie's field goals. So thanks for Alex for making my heart hurt again, watching those 4th downs, them not kick a field goal. But yeah, last 15 of 19 kickers, that's including last week's miss.
Wow.
Have gone over 2+ attempts versus Falcons.
And McLaughlin has hit 36 of his last 38 field goals. I mean, he has range. I think he's like
they're in a dome
9 out of and he's 9 out of 10 from over 50 yards in that time. So if he gets 2 attempts and he misses one, like I'm going right off the roof of my building at that point because I really need him to hit my play of the day.
I agree. Another guy I looked at was Godwin. I know Austin ended up pulling the trigger on yards.
I played his receiving yards 64.5. It was one of those spots where I was deciding between Mike Evans and Godwin. I like both the pass catchers for the Bucs. Mike Evans, obviously, I think sees AJ Terrell a lot more. I'm not sure if he shadows him, but I think Godwin loses him a little bit, playing obviously more in the slot. And slot receivers have just seen a ton of success against him. We saw Rashee Rice have 110 yards. Obviously, he plays on the outside a little bit, but he cooked. Rashid Shaheed had a great game, 8 catches for 87 yards. Like, these guys have given up good games to the slot receivers. And I just think Godwin at 64.5 yards, he's hit it in 3 of 4 games. He's got a 6.5 reception line. So I felt more safe targeting that rather than Mike Evans, who was favored under 4.5 receptions. Even though Evans obviously has more of the big catch ability, I just think Godwin's a safer target. So 64.5 felt like a good line that has upside.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Now, we're about to get into our first touchdown scores. But before we do, let's have a quick thank you to our sponsor. We teamed up with DraftKings, and Pick 6 new customers play $5 on your first picks, get $50 in Pick 6 credits, and 1 month of NFL Plus premium on us. Check the link in the description on YouTube below to check that out and to start playing. But we have our first touchdown. I mean, I'm not one to keep score, but I hit again last week. David Montgomery. I hate being that guy to just keep bringing that up, but we've been rolling. Absolutely rolling in the deep like Adele, some would say. And we're just absolutely on fire. So it's time for everyone else, Austin and Alex, to get on the board. I know they have in the past, but, I'm not saying you guys never have. I'm just saying the champ is here right now. Jakai is trying to get in. Let us know who you guys think is going to score first. But, Austin, you are technically up first with your pick. Don't screw it up.
Honestly, looking at this board today, you can't tell me there's not 7, 8 different guys you could see scoring for a touchdown here. Like, you know what I mean? This is one of those where I feel like there's way more like good targets than usual. Drake London, obviously, Mike Evans, obviously great targets, but I'm going Chris Godwin plus 900. He scored 3 of the 4 weeks. He didn't score last week. Due for regression. This guy scores every week. He's a walking touchdown. He gets in first today.
I don't hate it.
I'm not going to tell you guys it's a touchdown prop. He's getting in.
I don't hate it. Alex, you're next. I'm just proud of you, Austin. As long as you didn't do a stupid tight end, you're good with me. So, with that being said, Alex, you're up.
I might play my first touchdown play is K. Dotton plus 1900. He actually has a higher target rate than both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans this year against zone, which the Falcons are running at a top 10 rate. They run all cover 3, all zone, and K. Dotton has a higher target rate than both of those guys. So he had 6 catches and 7 catches the last 2 weeks. If he's getting the ball at a higher rate than both of their best 2 wide receivers, I'm willing to take that shot at plus 1900 and hope the Bucs are the team with the ball when they score.
I like it, guys. I like guys that are going to be close to scoring the first touchdown for you guys. That sounds like a good time. But there's one guy who's going to catch it. And honestly, I really think it's Mike Evans, but I didn't pick him for this because I didn't want a Bucs guy because I'm playing a little strategic over here in this game. I don't want a Bucs guy. I think the Falcons score first and the Bucs kind of take over from there and win the game. Mm-hmm. So I already talked about him as Darnell Mooney at plus 1300. He's catching a 20-plus yard bomb. And when that happens, you can come back here and join the king and just celebrate. That's what's going to happen.
If this shit happens, I'll lose it. There's no way. If I see a Darnell Mooney 1300 tutty to start, oh my God.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen, guys. And we're going to have a great time. Matt going against the prophecy. You're right. Mike Evans is the prophecy. But for the show, I have to hedge my bet in some capacity. I did bet both. Sue me.
That's bad juju. You're getting called out. Buddy's betting against his prophecy.
Juju. No, it actually should say Juju bad because Juju Smith-Schuster might be the worst wide receiver in the league right now. But that's the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all 1,200 or so of you guys in here. It's been a pleasure to watch me get the first touchdown score right yet again in advance. Alex and Austin, thank you guys for coming on as always. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Be easy.